What is up, everyone out there in internet land, and welcome to episode 475 of The Straight Shooters, available wherever podcasts are found. My name is Vaughn Johnson, and I'm joined as always by my main man, Pots and Pans, Nick McCone of Crossing Broad, and we have a special guest in the building for a very special episode, as we have the third man, Brian Isley, here for our deep dive, a Patreon request, and a second crack at this episode, because we did it, and it didn't work out, because technology sucks sometimes. But here we are again, episode 475, take two. And it is a deep dive into Battleground from 2016, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. I was going to say this month, but we're past the 10th anniversary of this show. But it's also special because all three of us were on site at Nick's Roast Beef up in Northeast Philly, Roosevelt Boulevard, talking all about this show and everything else happening in wrestling. We have audio from that I listened to not too long ago, and it is a time capsule. But all three of us were there on hand for the show, so we'll talk about our memories from that event and the show and everything else. But before we do anything else, any deep dives or current day nonsense, I got to do my weekly check on my main man, Pots and Pans. Nick, how are you in this Sunday afternoon, my good brother?
Man, the last week when we started recording, the Phillies were losing, I think 5-0 at the time, and I remember kind of going in on them a little bit. They had started the second half well, and they won two in a row against the Twins, but I mean, like we were like, okay, it's the Twins, whatever. And 1 week later, again on a Sunday, where we just before we started recording this, the Phillies were down 4-0 in the game, albeit in the middle of a 8-game win streak. And I was just like, all right, well, they're obviously going to lose this one. And they come back in the ninth inning to score 6 runs and sweep the Cardinals out before they head west to Seattle. They're also going to play the Angels, and they're going to play the Diamondbacks out there. So 9-game road trip coming up for them. But man, just like what a difference a week makes, because man, I would have loved to publish that episode, because I think I've really enjoyed that episode that we recorded, and then my computer turned heel on me. It was like I was Randy
Turned
Savage
heel.
in the middle of the ring, and my computer was Hulk Hogan dropping a big leg drop on my ass. It was
Damn.
terrible. It was terrible. Unexpected store exception. I've never seen that before in my life, but it ruined my computer. I'm not throwing it out. I'm trying to see if there's a way I can keep that hard drive, put the files on the hard drive, because I didn't back up my clips since
Oh,
May.
man.
How am I
no.
doing? I lost June, July, and up to now, August. Yeah, I lost a lot. So it's my fault for not, like, I have an external drive that I save stuff. I was just like, I'll wait till the end of the season or whatever. Like, sometimes I do that, and I just trust my computer, I guess. But it turned heel on me like I was Sting in the Four Horsemen.
Damn.
Pissing me off.
Damn.
But
Damn.
we're back. And then we have a second opportunity at this with Brian Isley, who joined us on Nick's Roast Beef. So I'm also going to find that episode and try and upload it, because it's not in our archives on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify. So it's a fun preview that we did for Battleground 2016. So I'd like to, let the people who haven't heard it, because that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Good to see that the Phillies have won 9 in a row. And it's good to see Brian Isley back on the show. Brian, how are you on this Sunday afternoon, my good brother?
I'm good, man. I can't complain. I had a doctor's appointment the other day. Had my third endoscopy in 18 months, and turns out I am cancer free, guys. So I don't have any more worries. Your boy was shook for a little bit, but now I'm good. I got the green light. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's good to hear.
yeah, right, yeah. Had a little scare for a little bit, but we are all right. So
That's good
I'm
to hear.
happy. I'm ecstatic.
As you should be. It's a celebration.
It's a celebration.
Drink up. The milk's going bad.
It's like you can't kill Matt Hardy. It's like you can't kill Brian Isley.
Can't kill Brian Isley, man. Maybe one of these rappers will one day, but
Oh, my God.
It's another story.
Maybe. Maybe Method Man was on your podcast recently, which also congratulations for getting Method Man on the podcast.
The bro point? Is that what it is?
The bro print? Yes, sir.
Bro.
Said bro
Get
point.
it together. Get it together, Nick.
Maybe they'll come around now that Method Man has showed up on the podcast. Like, oh, okay, maybe he's cool, and maybe they'll stop hating on you, but probably won't.
Yeah, Method Man is the liaison. Like he's helping me out in a lot of ways, squashing a lot of beef within his group with Ghostface and with Pete Rock. Pete Rock said we're good. Just don't put him on trash bars.
That's crazy.
And we're okay.
That's nuts.
Also got a voice message out of the blue from Ari Spears the other day with a trash bars request.
Wow. Wasn't he hating at first? Now he got requests?
He was, and now we're friends. Ain't that something?
Wow. Look how people come around. Look at that. There's room there's always room. There's always
Maybe
room.
we need a Patreon for
Right.
Oh, right.
You have to pay for that.
Yeah, man, going back and forth with Ari Spears is crazy, especially like you said, Vaughn. He was not feeling trash bars at first, so it's kind of crazy how people make that 180.
Right. When you get to know somebody and you actually talk about it and think about it for a second, to just reacting on Instagram, which, you're allowed to do, but good to see that they come around. Look at that. Building and establishing relationships with people who once wanted to see you dead in the streets, probably. And now that they cool. That's good to see.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Oh yeah,
That's
life
beautiful
is
stuff.
good, man. Life is good. Things are looking up for your boy.
Damn, we had a major life update on the Straight Shooters. That's dope.
Yeah, man. I wanted to, I wanted to keep the reaction organic. You know what I'm saying?
You did.
I kept that under wraps, and I wanted a genuine pop.
You can get a pop from me. I don't know how I'm going to avoid. Yeah, this is awesome. That's all I'll give you. I'll give you that.
Pay for it.
Live forever.
Appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate you guys. We've been locked in for over a decade, man. So it's all love, man. Thank you. Appreciate all y'all support over the years, for real.
We appreciate you being the third man. So let's get into some wrestling talk here. To shift gears a little bit from life updates to wrestling updates. Yeah, right. The kayfabe updates. We had a big WWE Championship match happen over the weekend. We also had Ring of Honor in Philly over the weekend. TNA we said not too long ago. They had Lockdown recently, so lots going on in pro wrestling. But let's talk about that WWE Championship I mentioned between Kevin Owens and CM Punk that took place on SmackDown Friday night. And we talked about this on our lost episode about like how this could potentially go. And we kind of figured that, there would be some shenanigans, some hijinks, some rigmarole. Tomfoolery. And we indeed got that. But I think in a unique way. It wasn't just like Randy Orton popping up at SummerSlam, hitting the RKO, and that's it. There was some story, some story there, some plot progression there in that Sami Zayn cost Kevin Owens the title, but after he attempted to help Kevin Owens win, Kevin Owens refuses to help, and then that's what makes Sami Zayn go, oh, word? You don't want my help? Mink, and hits him with the belt. CM Punk takes advantage and retains the title, but also gets a mink for his troubles because Sami Zayn don't mess with him still. So it feels like we got a triple threat situation on our hands here instead of just a one-on-one. Nick, how are you feeling coming out of the controversial match between Kevin Owens and CM Punk in Toronto, where CM Punk was booed heavily? Not surprisingly. But yeah, how are you feeling about this?
I don't mind where we got to as we sit right now, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Kevin Owens kind of looking goofy, be like, "No, I'm not winning it like that." When Sammy tried to give him the belt to hit Punk, and where a year and a half ago he was begging Sammy to help him beat Cody for the belt. So he came back, but he didn't really say he didn't want Sammy's, unless I missed a backstage promo or something, but it was like, okay, like Kevin Owens obviously hates Punk, but I don't remember him saying anything like, I'm going to do it on my own, blah, blah, blah. So that felt a little weird seeing him not want Sammy's help. I figure like if they wanted to do something with those two, why not have Sammy beg? You're like, you were right, Kevin, you were right. Like, you beat Punk, and KO's like, hey, well, wait a second, I can do it on my own, and maybe do it that way, and just have Sammy get mad at that, and then eventually toss KO the title instead of trying to help him at first. Like, I just think it didn't make sense for what we remember the last time we saw Kevin Owens. Like, did they expect us to forget before the surgery? Like, I don't understand. So, I didn't like how we got there, but I think that false finish where Sammy threw Punk into the ring post and then threw him in the ring, uh, KO stuns him. I thought that was the finish. Like, it's really hard to like surprise me that way in 2026. I was like, oh my God, they're gonna do it. And then, Punk kicks out. I'm like, oh my God, like they had me. They had me. So, um, I think it was a great match, and I look forward to seeing how this unfolds. Hopefully, okay, it's not like a one-off situation with Punk and KO. Sammy involved, it might be because like you got guys like Balor and Gunther who's still talking about wanting the title shot. So I kind of like that we have more than just two people in the title picture. And I just wonder how they're gonna, deal with that moving forward.
Brian, how you feeling about KO and Sammy Punk? Not Sammy Punk, CM Punk and Sami Zayn. So you got Sammy Punk and CM Zayn out here. But how you
Yeah,
feeling about this whole situation?
you said it right. KO Sammy Punk. Yeah, that works. Yeah. As long I'm cool with it as long as it doesn't end up with Sammy having any gold. I'm good.
Oh man.
I don't need Sammy holding any more gold. If and it'd be great, and it'd be good if Punk comes out on top, retains, and moves on. I'd be good too. But it'd be so awesome if KO comes out as champion.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how long CM Punk is going to hold the title. There's no guarantee he's going to lose it. So, it could be a situation where Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens cancel each other out, in some way. And CM Punk, walks away from the cloud of dust, still the champion somehow. I can definitely see that being a scenario, and then get CM Punk ready for a big match going into WrestleMania season, so to speak. But I would like to see some title changes. I'm not against title changes, or a change. So there's a difference between hot shotting and just like doing something for the sake of like having something happen and moving a story forward and giving people new directions. I think those are two different things, and I think a title change here, whether it's Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn, I'd be open to that. But again, they're still going to have to establish something on the road to WrestleMania. What does that look like? Who do they want to feature? I would assume Cody would be in that picture, but who else, right? Could that be where they run back CM Punk versus Cody is going into WrestleMania? So, because it seems like they want to run that back at some point. So, but the road there, at least with these three, should be at least somewhat interesting, right? Like, it's WWE, so they could always make something that seems exciting on paper feel very, very boring in reality. But I feel like that'd be hard to do with these three.
Especially how good they are on the mic and really in their characters. Like KO's character has just been like do whatever I want whenever I want type thing. So it was a little weird to see him. I'm not gonna do that. Just make him look like a goofball, like Cody. With like he wasn't gonna beat John Cena with the belt. He was gonna do it the right way. Like I was like, all right, like they need to explain their way out of that one. But Sami Zayn has been like, if the Slammy Awards were today, he would win like breakout superstar. Like his character, I think, has been the most unique in on screen in like the last 2 years. Like whenever he started this term, what was it? Like, it was last year. Right? It wasn't even this year. I feel like he's been doing this thing for quite a while now. So it was like towards the end of I don't remember exactly, but he everything like you need to pay attention to like everything he does and says because I feel like he's leading you somewhere. And I don't feel like that with a lot of the talent nowadays.
Something that's not going quite as well in WWE is the company losing yet another talented wrestler, not to injury, but to contract disputes, essentially, or contract matters. The latest person to be caught up in this is Ilya Dragunov. A newer face, a young talent, super talented in the ring, but WWE didn't really value that as much as they valued him being a quote unquote numbers mover, which I guess he didn't sell enough merch. The ratings didn't really pop for him, even though he had the best matches every week on SmackDown, and they would put him in the matches and the matches would kill and the fans would love it. But I guess that didn't translate to dollars and cents. And in WWE's world, that means you have to take a pay cut, essentially. How did they determine that? Don't know. They apparently gave him a big deal, a good deal, quote unquote, in the past. And even though they valued him that high, I guess they were like, well, he's going to eventually be a quote unquote numbers guy, a numbers mover. But I guess in their eyes, it didn't pan out. And they were like, well, instead of saying, hey, we're going to do something to help you get to that point, we'll just take money away from you. And Ilya Dragunov said, peace, I'm out. And don't blame him because there are other places to work. And I know that we bring this up, pretty much every time somebody leaves WWE, and it's like, well, they're going off to AEW. But if there's a wrestler that fits AEW as far as work style, it is Ilya Dragunov. I think if I'm him, I'm on the first thing smoking to AEW because they're going to give you the money that you want, and you're going to get to go out there and work the style that you want and have a chance of getting over in AEW. To me, this is a no-brainer. But Brian, you're not the resident AEW fan, but it's your home team right now. This is the promotion you really riding for right now. How would you feel? For one, how would you feel about Ilya Dragunov leaving WWE? And also, what do you think is next for him? And would that next include All Elite Wrestling?
Dragunov is a worker. He's a worker. Like you say, he puts on bangers, matches, like match after match after match, consistent bangers. And yeah, he's a perfect fit for what AEW does. I think he's going to be an instant hit as soon as if he decides to go there. I know there are other options, a plethora of options these days, which is fantastic for talent. WWE is still at the top, but it's not the end all be all. And it's good when things don't work out there. It's not the end of the road. It's not the end of the world. And they get to go somewhere else and make good money while still doing what they love to great fans. And AEW, I think those fans are going to, if they haven't already, they're going to gravitate towards people like Dragunov, and he's going to have great matches over there too. I can't wait to see him if it does happen. I can't wait to see him against Tommaso Ciampa or whoever. Like those matches are going to be fire. He's going to deliver every single time. And like you said, I don't know how WWE measures how someone's value. But apparently they didn't see eye to eye money wise. So I'm all about everybody getting as much money as they possibly can. So go get your bread, bro.
I would just love to know what WWE's metrics are when it comes to that type of stuff.
Right.
Like, what is?
I don't think they have.
What is the
any.
bar? Right. What is the bar for that? And again, do you, instead of just saying you're not worth it, so let's cut you or let's cut your pay? Which again, that does happen in sports. Like if a guy you give him a big contract and he's not that productive, there's restructures. There's they call it a restructure, but it's really just a pay cut. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that happens all the time. But I still feel like there's at least statistics that show why you can potentially do this and why you would offer someone a pay cut necessarily, because their production isn't matching the contract. But what does that look like for WWE? And how much is that discussed, going in? Is that discussed during these types of negotiations? Like, we wanted you to hit this and you didn't, or, this is where you fell short and this is where we thought you would be. Like, how do they determine that? And I think that's a very big part of, the negotiations is where from WWE standpoint, how do they determine these numbers and how you're not living up to them? What are their expectations? Nick, how you feeling about Ilya Dragunov leaving WWE, and is AEW in his immediate future? Because I feel like that's the spot I'm going to first if I'm him.
Yeah, it should be. I think it's wrestling. Don't they always, especially in WWE, constantly tell you to like stand out? Like you got to stand out and make a name for yourself and do this and do that. I think you look at Ilya Dragunov and you're like, that guy stands out. It doesn't matter how his height compared to the tallest person in the WWE, like he stands out. Like, and he's got some good mic skills. Like everyone can improve mic skills, but it's not something to where I think it's like a lost cause for him. So I think that's somebody that could have definitely carried the middle of the card, but also have like a main event here and there against a world title match. Do that stuff. Like I don't like you look at him and I think he stands out enough to where, like, if you really want to push the rocket behind him, like he's more than capable of carrying that. I think. I just don't think they cared enough. As crazy as that sounds, he was like the face of NXT UK for a while, then NXT, and then coming to the WWE main roster, and he's made waves everywhere he's been in a positive way. So I don't, yeah, I agree with Vaughn. I don't know what metrics they're looking at, or like what they expect from someone like that. But man, he was like a mismatch when he was on TV. So I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah, like how many times did they give him the mic? Did they do vignettes? It's one thing that, like, if you did everything you could with the guy and you gave him the presentation and you gave him the mic and you gave him the push and you put him in big moments and he just didn't deliver, right? But I don't think they really gave him the full run. Like, I know some people complain about LA Knight and like, oh man, he deserves this, he deserves that. For all intents and purposes, LA Knight gets pushed, all right? He's on TV all the time. He gets mic time. He may not have won the championship yet. He's won championships, though, in the past. And again, he's on TV, featured all the time. Even if he's losing, he's always on TV. He's always figured in the mix somehow. That wasn't even Ilya Dragunov. Now, granted, he's had some injuries, which takes away, chunks of your career. But it still feel like they just never really sank their teeth creatively into what he could be. They just put him in the ring and said, go out there and be the workhorse, which is fine if that's what you want him to be. But clearly they thought they wanted more from him in the aspect that they thought that he wasn't a quote unquote numbers mover, which he may not have been. But like, what did you do to get him to potentially be that, right? I think it goes both ways. Maybe Ilya Dragunov came up short in some ways, but I can tell you for sure that WWE came up short when it comes to how they presented him, other than outside of just being a really good wrestler who is bleeding during his matches all the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, outside of being that a super intense, fiery wrestler who's really, technical and physical and beats the daylights out of you, and not a big dude neither. It's kind of a smaller guy who has that kind of mentality, which I think could work. But for whatever reason, they just never really got behind him to that extent. I don't understand why. They seem to love him in NXT. What changed when he got to the main roster? Why is it different? I feel like they should be more on the same page with some of these guys, more so than they were before, because Vince would just ignore everything that happened in NXT. You would think Triple H and his team would be more in tune with what's going on there, because Triple H built the system, and he put his homie in charge of it. So why does there seem to be a disconnect still between NXT and the main roster? I don't understand it. If it worked in NXT, which, yeah, is a different audience in Florida, but it's not like the wrestling fans don't watch NXT. They do. So you got to be able to get him over other places. And if you got him over there, do the work to get him over other places. Otherwise, you're not doing your job. You're not holding up your end. So there's that. But and a little bit of entertainment news to wrap up here. Our current day nonsense. Dave Bautista, Big Dave, back in the news again for another movie role. He's going to be playing Kratos from God of War and the God of War film adaptation of the super duper popular video game that came out, like earlier 2000s, like 2003 or 4 or something like that. and is just getting a movie finally. And Batista will be Kratos. I feel like whenever there's an announcement of a character and who's playing that character in a movie, there's always like some level of outrage. I'm sure there's something somebody finds wrong with this casting, but Batista's a good actor, and I guess you have to bulk up again to play Kratos because Kratos is jacked. Like Batista in 2007 could have easily played Kratos. I don't know. He got to bulk up now for that, but we'll see. It should be. Hopefully, it's a good movie. Most video game movies are not, so we'll see if God of War is the exception. Brian, I know you are familiar with God of War and other video game movies and adaptations. How are you feeling about this? Big Dave being Kratos in God of War.
Yes, sir. You are 100% correct, Vaughn. You ain't never lied. Video games are trash when they turn into movies. Their
A lot of them.
adaptations are garbage, bruh. But this is God of War. This is one of them. This is one of them video games that's one of them ones. Like it's a
Yeah.
classic video game series. So they cannot drop the ball on this.
Look,
I'm cool
don't be
with the
surprised if they will. If they
I
do,
won't be
I should
surprised
say.
either. I'm cool with the casting of Batista. I love Batista as Drax. I think Drax is awesome. He's one of the funniest characters in the MCU. So I think Batista is capable of pulling this off. You know what? I'm just glad it wasn't The Rock.
Yeah, it's a different movie with The Rock. Everything is a different movie with The Rock because he kind of like takes up so much space in like the movie as far as like the promotion, and he's The Rock, right? He kind of overshadows everything. He did it with Black Adam to a certain extent when he was Black Adam for DC
that wasn't Black
a couple
Adam.
years back.
That was The Rock in the Black Adam costume. That's what
Exactly.
So I'm glad it wasn't him. Not hating on The Rock. I actually love The Rock. I'm just glad it wasn't him. I'm glad they went for a different look. I was kind of shocked when y'all told me it was Batista at first, but I'm cool with it. I'm not mad at it, and like I love that video game, so I'm hoping they do the movie justice. But the only fire video game movie was what? Sonic and Super Mario? So
Wait a second, hold
I
on.
don't know.
So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this for a second. Video game movies that actually work. I had one in mind. I thought the first Super Mario movie, they just like the recent ones, the CGI ones with Chris Pratt as Mario. The first one was really good. The second one, I just watched it not too long ago. Not nearly as good. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, well, the first one was fire though.
I agree with that.
Family loved the first one. It was unanimous.
Yeah. It was tremendous. It was a great. You could tell that like they really put time and effort and care, and it was great. And the second one just wasn't quite as good in my opinion. But the new Mortal Kombat movie that just came out, I thought was fire. I thought the latest one, Mortal Kombat 2, miles better than the one that came out in 2021, and is on par and maybe better than the one that came out in 95.
Okay.
Like it's that good. Of course, Mortal Kombat Annihilation should never see the light of day ever again, but I think Mortal Kombat 2 was dope. We'll see with Street Fighter how that looks. I don't know. My expectations aren't high. Most of the Resident Evil movies are kind of garbage, in my opinion. Most of them are. Welcome to Raccoon City might be the worst of them, which I was like, I was looking forward to that one, and that one sucked. But the new one is coming out. There's a new Resident Evil coming out, and it's going to be in IMAX, and it's the person who made Weapons and Barbarian behind that. I forget his name. I think it's Zach Kreger, I think his name, who directed it. Either way, so far from the trailer, looks great. And it's an IMAX. It's like, okay, Resident Evil. I see what we got here. But they're like we talked about, these examples are few and far between. Like, and these are massive video games that get movies and they're garbage. Like Uncharted.
And Uncharted is a fire video game.
Fire. Tomb Raider, Lara Croft one, not Lara Croft, Angelina Jolie one. I think she did two, I think, but the first one was kind of fun. Didn't they do a newer one too? I think recently. They might have.
Watch it.
I don't know, but The Last of Us is probably, as far as quality, and it's not a movie, it's a TV show, but that's one of the best video game adaptations probably ever. It's The Last of Us.
Agreed.
But that's also a TV show, which I think probably should be the way to go for a lot of these properties, because there's a lot of these video games are 30, 40 hours long when you play them, and there's a lot of story and lore, and it's tough to cover that in like a 2-hour movie and make it good, like, and make it cohesive and try to cover a lot of bases. And that's just, like I said, that's just one game. We're not talking about the whole franchise. We're talking about one game could be 20, 30 hours of playing time, and that's tough to cover. But over a TV show, you have like 8 1-hour episodes. Now you got 8 hours to cover that ground. And it's not 40, but it's more than, a couple hours that movie usually is. So yeah, interesting topic. But most video game movies are not great. We could probably go through a whole list of them. That could be a whole nother podcast episode of movies that were video game adaptations, and that just didn't turn out well. Like, remember the first Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme as Colonel Guile?
Please don't remind me.
Oh, come on, man. You didn't like Jean-Claude Van Damme as the American soldier?
Absolutely not. Listen, my whole family gathered around to watch that movie. All the kids from our block came to our crib. Our crib was headquarters. So anything that was popping, you come to 37 7th Street and we got you covered. Man, we watched Street Fighter at the crib. It was not headquarters for a minute after that. Crib was not headquarters. That people was not pulling up because the movie was that bad. It was garbage.
They said y'all was whack for that.
Yeah, we were whack for that. 37 7th Street. Don't go there. They play whack movies over there,
including Street Fighter. That's nuts.
We got them back. We got them back though when that PlayStation popped up at the crib.
Oh yeah, then the whole hood came over. Yeah, absolutely. They was playing Street Fighter on the PlayStation for sure.
Yeah, Street Fighter Alpha, no doubt.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, Nick. We kind of nerded out there with the video game talk and video game movie adaptation talk.
Remember last time we nerded out with video game talk? We had a whole half-hour argument on the Brian Isley show. At Wildfire Studios. We were talking about Street Fighter 2 versus Mortal Kombat. We had a big argument, big debate about that.
And I stand by it. All right. You can have it again. Okay. We can do it again. Okay. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. Like Jay-Z said, we're going to do it again, Brian. All right. We will.
Yeah, word. Listen, right. we can argue about that all day, and I know I was an advocate for Street Fighter in that argument. Quiet as kept, I'm a Tekken guy.
Oh man! A new challenger has entered the fight. A Tekken guy.
Tekken is the best fighting series ever. That's what I think. I'll die on that hill.
I had Tekken 3, 4, and 5 back in the day. Okay, I love me some Tekken. Give me Steve Fox, and I'm punching the daylights out of you. No kicking, just punching. Just punching on people. It's great. I love it. But enough about the current day nonsense. Let's get into our deep dive at Patreon request. Nick, Brian, are y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
The best pay-per-view name in the last 20 years?
That's a lie, and we're going to talk all about it on our deep dive. Let's do it. I don't know why I do that sometimes, but here we are. WWE Battleground in 2016 took place on July 24th in 2016. It was the 4th annual Battleground, and it emanated from the Verizon Center in Washington, D.C., which is now known as the Capital One Arena in D.C., home of the Washington Wizards and Washington Capitals. The venue not only hosts NBA and NHL games, but has hosted some pretty major wrestling events over the years that I think is kind of slept on when it comes to this building. It hosted the last 4 Starcades. Proper Starcades, not the WWE live event nonsense they did about a decade ago around this time. No, WCW Starcade. The last 4 of them were in DC in this building. Of course, that included 1997 with Sting won the title under some, nonsensical circumstances. But, it was a culmination of a year-long and prosperous story for WCW. But, of course, that happened in DC, as did the end of Goldberg's 175,000-0 winning streak at the hands of a cattle prod from Scott Hall. So there were the best of times and the worst of times in this building.
Yeah, man.
It was also hosted Backlash 2000, one of my personal favorite shows of all time. Of course, that's when The Rock beat Triple H for the WWF Championship with the help of Steve Austin. We also have SummerSlam 2005 took place in this building. Survivor Series 2009 also took place in this building, as well as the one and fortunately only edition of Capital Punishment. I don't know if you remember that show from like 2010, 2011, or whatever it was. Dark time in our wrestling fandom. But more recently, the Capital One Arena was the host and was the site of the very first episode of AEW Dynamite. Also, also was the site of John Cena's final wrestling match last December, which ended with him just smiling at peace. I'm comfortable. I'm happy.
It's in a chokehold for like 2 minutes. You're passed out, dude. You're not smiling and tapping out in a real fight. Get the hell out of here.
Serenity, peace. I am at peace with my career of beating everyone for 20 years. I'm at peace now. That's how he wanted that to end. But on this night, it is 2016, and we are still very much hashing out the Shield's issues from a couple years prior. In fact, we have the one and only triple threat match between all three members of the Shield on this show. We got Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose, a.k.a. Jon Moxley, all in the ring vying for the WWE Championship, which is held by Dean Ambrose, of all people, who is the number one overall pick for SmackDown, is looking to carry the flag for that show, as we are on the verge of a new attempt and another ill-fated attempt at a true brand split here in WWE. As of right now, there is only one world champion, but by the next night, they will introduce another championship known as the Universal Championship. The Universal title with a red belt, which everyone hated when it first debuted. Because Vince McMahon just said, not the World Heavyweight Championship. Nah, let's not bring that back. A red belt. Universal Championship. Even bigger than the world.
That was whack as hell.
Truly.
The blue one was worse than the red one. The red one
actually
didn't look terrible because they did the black stripe underneath the W. So I was like, that kind of offsets the black title a little bit. I like that. But I wish they would have had a new design and not just copied the World Heavyweight title design. But
I didn't mind the
too
blue
much to
version
ask,
of the
I
Universal
guess.
title. I didn't mind the blue version of it. They were both equally kind of garish. So to me, the new WWE Championship is a better version, and of course the new World Heavyweight Championship is better than the Universal title. So we're in better times now. Not great ones, but better when it comes to the World Championship situation. Yeah. Yes, better aesthetics for sure, which is meaningful. It's meaningful. But the biggest change that we will see kind of to the wrestling schedule and our schedules, I guess, would be that SmackDown, as we knew it at the time, would be changing. Because if you remember, 2016 and years prior, SmackDown was not live. It was a taped show. But by this point, it was very much the Beast Show. It would tape on Tuesdays and air on Thursday or Friday or whatever time frame that they chose for that particular time period. But it was a glorified recap show on national television. Very skippable. But WWE saying, look, we're going to do a true brand split, so we can't make it skippable. So we're not only we're going to make it live on Fridays, and that's still the case to this day, obviously, but we're also going to call it SmackDown Live. Just so you know, it's live. SmackDown Live. And you got to say the full name every time. SmackDown Live.
Well, they moved it to Tuesday.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. They did move it to Tuesday.
So it
at
was
first.
Raw and SmackDown back to back, and both were live. And I remember thinking, I don't know if I like that because I already felt like two days in a row with WWE wrestling felt like a lot back then.
And then there was a third day because NXT was on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind it.
Yeah, that was a network, but it'd be 3 days in a row. Yeah.
I didn't mind it personally because it meant I got my Friday nights back. I didn't have to watch wrestling on Friday nights, which now I do. I'm watching wrestling on Friday night. I wouldn't mind watching on Tuesday and watching and doing whatever I want on a Friday, but here we are. I'm sure maybe it works better for their scheduling and whatnot. That's fine. Doesn't matter to me, but it is what it is now. But that's how it was. But this is how it was back in 2016, where SmackDown was going live, and that was a big deal because SmackDown was the opposite of must-watch TV back in 2015 and 2016. Like, I remember I only did recaps for Monday Night Raw when I used to write recaps for Philly.com as it was known back then. Now, of course, Enquirer.com. But SmackDown, I would skip it because nothing happened on SmackDown. And that was a waste of my time on Tuesdays doing writing up a recap for a show that nothing happened on. So, no.
That's why I did it, the Philly voice.
You did it so I didn't have to. But also...
It was hard trying to sell them like, no, it's a main WWE show.
Well, it was easier when SmackDown became live.
Yeah.
And it was like they're going to actually put resources into the show. Like, John Cena's going to be on the show. See? Yep. Pay me. And they did. SmackDown became... You had to actually sort of watch it now. But yeah, at this time, SmackDown was barely watchable. It was rarely any storyline progression. It was just some matches and some highlights from what happened on Raw. But what we have right now in 2016, at this point, I should say, in 2016, is WWE with a stacked roster. Got to remember, this is 3 years before AEW is even in existence. So they got everybody. Everybody who is everybody is in WWE. And good God, if only Vince McMahon knew what to do with all of these people. Like, if only he wasn't in charge of this roster. Because it's stupid how much talent they had right now. They had Sasha Banks on the roster, and she wasn't even pretty much the top woman yet. But you had New Day, Wyatt family, Rusev, Becky Lynch before she became the man. AJ Styles is here, y'all. And he's with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. We also got Kevin Owens against Sami Zayn. Damn. What a roster. That's, again, didn't even mention Randy Orton, Chris Jericho, John Cena, Shinsuke Nakamura's in NXT, Samoa Joe's on the roster. Damn. You got everybody. But unfortunately, it was too damn bad that Vince McMahon was running the show. And he didn't know what to do with most of them. But for this time period, it really felt like, and I don't know about you guys, I'll let you guys chime in as far as, for me, because they had so much talent on the roster, it was like, man, they are stacked now with everybody. It felt like WWE was really about to turn a corner with their roster and creatively. It's like all this established talent, all these NXT names who were also established because NXT was becoming a thriving brand, that all this talent mixed together, man, WWE can't lose now, right? This is a no-brainer. This should be easy, and that wasn't the case at all. If anything, things got worse. If anything, what do you guys remember about this time in WWE in 2016? Brian, I'll start with you.
I remember this time fondly because this was the time I was getting back into wrestling, like full tilt, doing pods with you guys, and y'all was big time because y'all was doing live on location podcasts at Nick's Roast Beef, and we were doing, live Battleground shows. So this was a time for me to like, and Vaughn, you mentioned how stacked the roster was. In hindsight, I appreciate it now. Like, yeah, that's crazy. But then I didn't know. I didn't know how stacked it was. I didn't really pay attention to how stacked it was. I guess I was just living in the moment. But yeah, looking back, yeah, that's a crazy roster that Vince had at his disposal. And unfortunately, he didn't execute properly. But, he was, at that time, he was like well out of touch and not really knowing what he was doing. But it's a fun time for me because, like I said, I was getting back into it. I was like loving Shinsuke Nakamura and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn with the short haircut. New Day was the truth to me. They were hilarious all the time. I was loving Bray Wyatt. I was in love with Sasha Banks. so it was definitely a cool time. Not so much as far as the quality of the overall product, but it was dope seeing all these new and exciting characters and wrestlers for me getting back into it.
That's dope. Like I said, it really was like an injection. It felt like an injection of new energy and life into the roster that just wasn't capitalized on. Nick, what do you remember about WWE and the state of WWE at this time going into Battleground?
unfortunately, you're right, where it kind of like got off course pretty quickly, but it still felt the same to me when it came to like the 2002 brand extension through. Really, I think that one kind of withered away in 2008 when they went to like the back to the PG era, and in '06 and '07 they would have like people appearing on Raw and SmackDown and kind of doing away with some of the rules a little bit, but it just felt like they didn't overdo it.
In 2012 they had like the Raw Super Show,
yeah,
like 2011 or whatever it was.
Point, yeah, and it was just like,
come on,
I didn't like that. I like the brand extension idea. I like having, instead of 2 shows a week to progress storylines, you have one, and that feels distinctly different from the other. And that's exactly what Raw and SmackDown felt like in 2002 when they first did it. It took a little bit, and then they finally had the blue ropes for SmackDown with the silver apron and the red ropes for Raw with the black apron, and they felt like 2 different shows, even though, you would, and then you had the commentators who were like pro Raw. They're like, yeah, we're better than SmackDown, and then SmackDown guys were like, yeah, we're better than Raw. I liked that because it felt different enough, and I think the wrestling was fine. The storylines were fine for a large part of that. When this happened, I was hoping we would get more of that, like get back to the inner battle between 2 brands and making each show feel distinctly different, which they did for a time period. And I think even the storylines are pretty good. I think up until Goldberg beat Kevin Owens for the Universal title is where that started also like falling apart. The uniqueness of the brand split. And so that happened in early 2017. So I mean, like months later, it's like it was gone. That magic that I felt, I was like, yes, like this is what is the best version of WWE, when Raw is distinctly a different product, SmackDown distinctly a different product, and once a week. And then they brought back the brand-only pay-per-view, so you would have a Raw-only pay-per-view and a SmackDown-only pay-per-view. And I was like, this is what I think brings the best out of the product. And they just, whatever, again, going back to metrics, Vince just didn't buy that as a viable thing to do for more than months at a time. So, late 2017 into 2018, 2019, it's just everything fell apart and everything felt the same. And that's what, like I think about when they do brand extensions, and I'm like, it's for a reason. Like, you're supposed to make them feel as different as possible. And they've done it twice now where they just go back to not caring, and I just don't know why that's in their head, because I don't think they would do it now. I think maybe that's just a Vince only thing.
They do it now,
but I don't.
They
but TKO doesn't care about a brand extension. Like they don't care.
But
Netflix cares about their Raw. USA Network cares about their SmackDown, but they don't really. It doesn't feel like two warring programs anymore. Like it's just like, hey, Raw and SmackDown are friends, where I want them to be foes,
You want enemies. You want problems. Yeah. No peace. Problems always.
And that doesn't mean Survivor Series needs a bragging rights match. Like, we don't need that, but we need to make Raw feel like Raw and SmackDown feel like SmackDown. And, I think SmackDown's kind of taken a step up since SummerSlam because Punk's on there. You got Cody, Randy, and KO there, Sami Zayn. They have good talent, top talent there now, which felt like they didn't for a while. But I still don't see like the different. It's not different than Raw. It's just, I see that on Raw, and maybe it's not as big a deal in 2026. Maybe it's just me holding on to what I grew up with and thought was really cool. But man, it was really cool when it first happened, and then in 2016 I thought it was cool too. But months later they were just like, nah, and I'm like, oh, why? Why not?
Yeah, they don't put the effort into making it a true brand split, which it's like, why do it at a certain point? Why have all these belts if you're not going to really do a real brand split? But whatever, it's, we're here now. And, back in 2016, we thought maybe they'll do it right this time. Maybe they'll also have, more presence for the women on the roster too. Because remember, this is right as the women's revolution was kind of kicking off in WWE. And I remember having a lot of optimism around the entire division, because it's like, man, they're gonna get real shine now, and a real chance to be wrestlers, not just divas on the show. Especially with Bayley coming on the roster and not, she made a cameo tonight on Battleground, but eventually she got called in. I'm like, man, she's gonna be the biggest babyface in wrestling. Oh, spoilers. But she's going to be the biggest babyface in wrestling, and Finn Balor, so is he. And it's like, nope. Wrong again. But while WWE was in Washington, D.C., we were at Johnny's Roast Pork alongside the third man, Brian Isley.
Nick's roast beef.
What was it?
Nick's roast beef.
What did I say?
Johnny's Roast Pork for the second week in a row.
Oh, man. It's too many roast. Like, Nick and John got to figure out the name, bro. I need Nick and John to be like, hey.
You said that last week, and
because it's a place. It's an actual restaurant in South Philly. It's John's Roast Pork. And there's Nick's Roast Beef.
But that's not where we were at.
I know. I understand that, Brian. But can you understand how I can get those mixed up?
Nah.
There's two of the same.
We weren't there. How can you weren't there? I don't know.
No, don't do that to me.
Where that place is.
It is a real place. Nick's Roast Beef. That's where we were.
I didn't watch wrestling there.
Nick, what do you remember about being at a restaurant named after you, essentially, on the boulevard? And
dude,
not John?
We were excited because this was supposed to be our first remote for the podcast, and we were we met the owner like a week or two prior, and it's kind of like he's like, yeah, it's coming, he's set up, and like I don't even think he told us where, but we get there with our producer Taylor, and we go in, and they're just kind of like, yeah, they didn't have any idea like we were coming to set up to do a remote broadcast, and he wasn't even there. The owner wasn't even there. So
somehow that always happens to us.
Yeah, eventually we were able to get set up by the front area, because I had been there at that location for a Philly Influencer Bleeding Green Nation draft party. We did that earlier that year where when the Eagles drafted Carson Wentz second overall. And so I was there, and I kind of like I saw the setup before, but we get set up and get going and everything. And I actually totally forgot Brian joined us he on the pre-show, because I forgot he came at all to Nick's Roast Beef. I hadn't heard this episode in forever, and I didn't even remember. Like, I wanted to forget, almost wanted to forget that early part, because I felt a little embarrassed, because I'm like, damn, like, didn't even know we were coming. Like, I thought it was good. I thought it was going to be like a bigger deal than it was, and it was a bigger deal to us, obviously. And then we get there, and it's just like, oh yeah, all right, well, just go over there, and no rhyme or just set up and do your thing. And I was like, wait, what? I thought this was like my first remote. Like, I didn't know what the hell to expect. I didn't expect that, though. So we did our show, about an hour, a little longer than an hour. And then I think we had another hour or two before the show started. So we just waited there and went to the back area. They put it on the screen, and we watched it there and ate a little bit, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I thought this was I wrote in my review on Philly Voice that this was the best show at that point of the year. And I, watching this back, I firmly believe that it was a really, really good show. And I thought that was going to lead us into like the brand extension of being, oh, this is a new era for WWE. How many errors have they had since then? But and how they always talk about it on screen too. But being at Nick's Roast Beef, I thought was going to be like a starting point of us like doing remotes like for pay-per-views, and then it just wound up not happening that way after that. It was an experience that I'm glad we experienced it, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I don't know what I was expecting, but I was expecting a little more than what we got.
Well, I don't think Nick's Roast Beef knew what they were expecting either. So
To
there's
no
that.
fault
It
of
was
the
a-
people that were there that day. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was a good time though. Brian, you were there too. You have any memories from this remote broadcast that we did 10 years ago in the summertime of 2016?
I know 2016 Brian Isley was kind of wild and um, not not as filtered as I am today. So I know I probably said some wildness on that broadcast.
I mean, we did talk a lot about Aunt Viv back in the day and some blockbuster nights.
Yeah, see, I'm different now. I'm trying to get better every day. That stuff was funny though. But I was a wild bull.
Yeah, we all were. We were all complicit. We were all complicit in everything that we did. We were grown. We take responsibility. It sucks, but you have to take responsibility for what we were talking about back in 2016. But before we get into the show itself, let's do our check-in with our patron for this show. Of course, this is a Patreon request, and Chris Johnson, the good brother Chris Johnson, came through once again with a request, and it was Battleground 2016. And as always, if you make the request, you can make a cameo on the show that we're diving deep into. So let's take it away with Chris Johnson's thoughts on Battleground 2016.
What's going on, Straight Shooters? It's your boy Chris Johnson again, give you guys my thoughts on the deep dive for Battleground from 2016. My match of the night, I had two. Match of the night for me was Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. But every time these guys are in a ring, it's magic, and I've never seen these two have a bad match with each other. Sami had the worst spot of the night. I'm gonna give you that. Get that out of the way right now. He had the worst spot of the night where he tried the springboard moonsault to Owens on the outside, but it looked like he handed head or neck first on the apron. That looked like a bad spot. Sami ended up getting the win with a couple haluva kicks after an exploder suplex onto KO into the corner. Really, really, really fantastic match. I love that. Love this match. Love watching these two in the ring. I have an honorable mention for match of the night. It's the main event for the WWE Championship. It's the triple threat match between Dean Ambrose, who's the champion, taking on Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. I figured they would hold off for SummerSlam in this match, but they didn't. They did it at Battleground, which was fine. It was a good match. We had the Shield Bomb through the table on the Reigns. Reigns coming back off the suspension for PEDs, I believe, if I remember correctly, 30 days. Came back, got booed out of the building as he usually did at this time. Seth hitting the pedigree onto Reigns, getting a 2 count. The match ended with Dean hitting Dirty Deeds onto Roman after he hit Rollins with the spear, and Dean retained the championship. I thought it was a really, really good match, like I said, in my honorable mention for match of the night. My worst match of the night, I had a couple candidates. I had the U.S. title match with Zack Ryder and Rusev. Wasn't really much to it. It was kind of one-sided. Zack had really one flurry throughout the whole match. Meh, it was all right. My other candidate for worst match of the night was Natalya and Becky. I didn't really get anything out of this match. It didn't really do much for me. Natalya did get the win with the sharpshooter via submission. My hidden gems. I had a couple hidden gems from this show. Hidden gems, I had both 6-man tag matches. You had the Wyatt family and the New Day, the second match of the night, I believe, which that was a good match. Two factions going at each other. Enjoyed that match. And then the 6-man with the club comprised of AJ Styles, Gallows, and Anderson taking on Cena, Enzo, and Cass. Good match. Cena, Enzo, and Cass got the win. Another hidden gem I had on this show was the highlight reel with Jericho and Randy Orton returning after Orton being off for 9 months. The basis of this was, like I said, Orton coming back after 9 months. He's getting ready to face Brock at SummerSlam 4 weeks after this. And a lot of back and forth, some comedy in it. I thought it was a really, really good segment. My spot of the night, I'm probably going to have to go with that flying knee that Carl Anderson hit on Enzo during that 6-man tag when he was diving for a tag. I thought that was a pretty wicked knee and a pretty cool spot. My best non-wrestling happening, easily Enzo's pre-match promo. Fantastic. Great stuff as always from Enzo. Enzo would always kill it on the mic. But as soon as he started speaking, the crowd went silent just to listen to every word he spoke. Any random thoughts from the show? This was the last dual-branded pay-per-view for Raw and SmackDown before the brand extension. I thought it was a great show, one of the best shows of 2016. Straight Shooters, appreciate you guys allowing me back on the greatest wrestling podcast out today. Hope you guys are doing good up in Philly. Keep doing your thing. Peace.
Thanks again, Chris Johnson, for the love. Thanks again for your patronage. And we're going to disagree on some things on this show, if I remember correctly. So we're going to be at odds on some things. But don't worry, we're still cool. And you could be cool just like him. If you could head on over to patreon.com/shootersradio, put in your request, we will fulfill it. And you could be just like Chris and make a cameo on the Straight Shooters when you do it. Now, let's get into the show with a strange... Oh, go ahead, Brian.
I think Chris is trying to patronize his way into the third man spot, and I don't like it.
He encroaching on your territory?
Yeah, man. You gotta continue to patronize. Thank you, Chris, but I see the play. I don't like it.
He running the play. Like the tribal chief called the play, and he running it. He running it. But the intro for this show was, I know, Nick, we talked about this in the Lost episode. You really liked this intro with the flags and everything like that. I didn't. I didn't care for it. Nor did I care for the name of Battleground either, because that was a garbage name too, in my opinion.
It's a great name, and having the flags with each person's like own unique design, I thought that was awesome. They used to do that stuff back in the day. They used to do they had their own logos that they would plaster on the screen for the upcoming matches and whatnot, and it was fine. Like WrestleMania is a like a crap name when you think about it, but
no, it's not. It's a great name. I think WrestleMania is a great name.
So is Battleground.
And no, I think SummerSlam is
a great name. And
Royal
so is
Rumble, WrestleMania, but Battleground came out it started in 2013 after we didn't had such bangers such as like Armageddon and Backlash and Unforgiven. We can't go backwards. Like if Battleground came out 1990, it probably would have stood the test of time. But not in 2013 or 14 or 15 or 16. No, that's going backwards.
No.
That's going backwards.
That's great. And they had their flags to plant and everything. It was great.
Oh.
John Cena carrying the flag. Yeah, Charlotte, Sasha Banks in there. AJ Styles in there. Sami Zayn, KO in there. That was awesome.
Look, they about to storm a Capitol or something. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Somehow.
That's hilarious. Could you imagine John Cena holding the flag in front of the Capitol?
Look, I cannot.
Let's see that Capital Punishment logo again. I wonder if he was holding the flag.
He might have. I think it was him and Rey Mysterio on the front.
No,
with Obama keeping them apart.
R-Truth, right?
That was the main event, but I think on the poster it was Cena and Mysterio because Mysterio's a bigger star. So put Mysterio on the cover. But speaking of terrible things like capital punishment, let's talk about the stage for this show because we are in the worst, the worst era for stages in WWE history because they just said they're all the same now. And I know that's mostly the case today, for at least for Raw and SmackDown, but at least they change it for the pay-per-view. It's not super elaborate. It's not a custom set for each show like they used to do back in the day. And I get why they don't do that because it's a cost measure. You're going to build up the stage with, real materials and then only use it once and then put it in a warehouse. That feels like, we're just losing money hand over fist every month now. Or we can kind of create a template of sorts, but at least do something different for pay-per-views. In 2015 and 16, they said the same stage for every show except WrestleMania. Everything else is the same. And that sucked. Terrible. I hated it. And that's what we got here at Battleground, where they just changed the colors of the LED screens. It's like it's a whole new show. And boy, oh boy, did it suck. I don't know if you guys remember this, but man, what a terrible era for the aesthetics. We talk about the aesthetics.
Yeah, the aesthetics.
Bad aesthetics. Bad aesthetics in 2016.
It was brutal. I liked the ring posts without the crap they have on them now, the steel, whatever it is. I think bare ring posts are fine. You could color them up the way they did, and Money in the Bank, they had it for green. SummerSlam, they had light blue one year and red one year. Like I like that. And then you have the white ropes. That aesthetic, I think, is good. But when you don't supplement that with like an entranceway that looks cool, then I think it's like it doesn't really matter. And this was as plain can be era WWE from like whenever they got rid of, like 2010 is when they started the white ropes for every single show, and it went through to this part like 22 2016, 6 years later, and then they finally brought back the red ropes for Raw and blue for SmackDown, and then eventually did away with that, like they always do. So, if you're gonna have one look for every show, at least just make it like the ring, like have a different entranceway. Like it makes sense. That's why everyone loves the SmackDown fist. Everyone loves, Raw in its heyday with the ramp and the Titantron and everything. Like, that's what people talk about when they reminisce about when they watched wrestling back then. So, when you treat every show like it's just the same thing, it's just different people, it's like you lose the uniqueness that made wrestling in the 80s and 90s, I think. And yeah, the entrances in the 80s weren't some grand thing, but still, like, it felt like each show was different. Like SummerSlam was different. Even if you had the WWF logo, it still just felt different. You had the different apron. It was like, it just felt unique, even if the ropes were still red, white, and blue, and the entranceway still looked the same. At least they made it seem lightweight. I don't know, but I wish they did. I wish they paid more attention to that.
They pay attention to saving money. That's what they pay attention to. How much money can we save? That's what they're paying the most attention to. What they're also paying attention to back in these days was 3-person announcer booths. And we got another one on this show. Michael Cole, JBL, and Byron Saxton. And if there's one positive that I can say about WWE's television production today, is that they have totally done away with 3-person booths, because I hated them so much. Not just because for one, I'm not really for 3-person booths in general. I think there's just too many voices. But WWE would essentially try to force them onto every single show, as if it had to be that way. And WWE did a lot of things that they would essentially do because it felt like they had to do it that way, and no one else is doing it. No one else is forcing 3-person booths. No other sports production was forcing these except WWE. The only few that work, very rare exceptions. And Brian, you know that there's a Mike Breen, Jeff Van Gundy, and Mark Jackson calling NBA games. Amazing 3-person booth. The current one, I don't know who's in the current 3-person. I know it's Mike Breen. Is Doris Burke still in there with was it like Richard Jefferson or something like that?
It was Mike Breen, Doris Burke, and Richard Jefferson. I'm not sure if Doris Burke is there anymore. I think it's Mike Breen, Tim Legler, and Richard Jefferson.
Oh yes, Tim Legler now. Yeah. Either way, I don't think they're necessary. Football, the NFL doesn't like their big matchups. They're big like Sunday night, Thursday night, Monday night booths, and even like the top booths for like Fox and CBS aren't 3 people. They're 2 people. They've had some here and there, but I don't think it's necessary. But if it's done well, it could work. But WWE would just force it for every show, and I thought it was annoying. Raw, SmackDown, and NXT didn't need a total of 9 announcers. 9 people yelling in your ear every week on television. Not fun. And fortunately, they've done away with them. Thank you, WWE, for that, at least. But let's get into our format. We have match of the night, worst match of the night, best non-wrestling happening, worst non-wrestling happening, hidden gems, best spot, worst spot, my dog spot, and of course, random thoughts. Nick, I want to start with you. Match of the night from Battleground 2016. I feel like we're going to hear some familiar names that we talked about earlier here regarding the WWE Championship picture on SmackDown. But who do you have here for the match of the night from Battleground?
I'll tell you, when it's all said and done, in WWE history, this might be in the conversation for rivalry of all time, of like WWE history. I think obviously the match of the night was Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. It was a perfect match between those two for like a main roster showcase almost, where Kevin Owens had been on the main roster for about a year at this point, and Sami Zayn's been there, but this was like the first taste that main roster audience got of these two, if they didn't pay attention in NXT or even before their time in NXT. And I thought it was a perfect match when it came to the pace, because what we see now is super slow in every single mainstream wrestling. Like AEW super slow, WWE super slow. Everything is choreographed to a T, where when you try to do fast-paced stuff, you almost always see a screw up. This was so fast-paced in a WWE world that if you rewatch it, you don't look at it as like a super choreographed, slow place, like making sure everyone's in the right spot before doing a spot type thing. And they just went out and sold too. They sold their maneuvers. Oh God, that word, maneuvers. Moves.
Maneuver.
They sold their moves. Like they didn't have this crazy like expressions on their face after every single close fall. They didn't. It felt like a perfect hybrid. I called it a hybrid NXT main roster hybrid match. It's fast paced but slow enough to let the high impact moves show what damage they did. So again, not a lot of no selling, not getting hit with a move and then going and doing your move 2 seconds later. The impact moves did damage and stuff. And there was only like one point in that match where Kevin Owens kind of sold a suplex, but Sami hit him again, and then that was it. They did their rest up and get ready to come back type of thing after that. So not a lot of no selling here. There's a moment where the ref asks Sami Zayn if he gives up when Kevin Owens has him in a submission, and Kevin's like, yes. He says yes. Sami said no, and Kevin responded to him, yes, you do. And I thought that was pretty funny. Shows like just how much they hated each other from being friends to this rivalry that we're still seeing play out 10 years later. It's just it's really stands the test of time, because this is a rivalry that I don't think I'll ever get tired of, because of how each person goes into it trying to kind of move forward. It's not like they're not resting on their laurels. They're not like, it's not like a Hogan must pose type thing where they're going and doing the same old crap. Like, they're evolving. And 10 years later, they're evolving enough to know, like, hey, they've been friends, but they're enemies. They've been friends, but they're enemies. And, like, you could see just how it goes back and forth. And this was the starting point of that, at least on the main roster. So the fans became super unglued when Kevin Owens hit the pop-up powerbomb and Sami got his foot on the rope. Like, that is just, like, incredible theater if you're just watching this and not knowing much about the two, or if you know those two and you've seen them in the past. This match on a WWE pay-per-view, holy crap, I can't believe they're letting them do this. So it was just fantastic, and definitely, I mean, there were a bunch of good matches on this card, but I think that was high and above the best one.
Brian, I know you're watching the show, but I don't know if you had input here, but I'll just say real quick, I agree. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn was easily the best match on this show. Not to say there was a bunch of bad matches. There were a lot of good matches, honestly, but a lot of good matches. But Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, easily the best one. Like I said, they can indeed fight forever. I remember thinking around this time that because the brand extension was happening, that they would get split up. One would go to Raw, the other would go to SmackDown, and this could be kind of the one and only match you get, and they go in different directions. Instead, they both went to Raw, so this wasn't even the end of the feud, even though they kind of touted it as the end of this issue that between them two. And of course, here we are 10 years later, and they're going to rekindle it again. But yeah, I'm in favor of any time they get into the ring together, because they just beat the daylights out of each other. I mean, that brainbuster on the ring apron, that Sami Zayn, I should say, hit on Kevin Owens was incredible. Looked brutal and great at the same time. KO hitting the super kick on Sami Zayn while Sami was diving through the turnbuckle. Remember when Sami Zayn used to go through the turnbuckle and go like at the ring post, and he would jump through and do a tornado DDT. One of his signature moves back in the day. They doesn't do as much anymore, but he was attempted to do it on this night, and he was met with a super kick right to the face, and then followed it up with a super kick. And of course, the sequence where Sami hit the back-to-back dragon suplexes, and they both lied on the mat, which gives you chills. They got a standing ovation for that from the fans. And again, just such great theater, like you said. Even the finish with Sami, you can see in his facial expressions how he's, going through the emotions before he hits the haluva kick on Kevin Owens. And it just made me think that, like, whoever decided to take the mask off Sami Zayn before he became a WWE wrestler, genius. Because why would you leave a mask on this guy's face when he can convey a story with those eyes? He can convey a story with those facial expressions that he just allegedly couldn't do as allegedly El Generico. That's still alleged. That's not confirmed whether Sami Zayn is El Generico. But if he was El Generico, taking the mask off of him was the right decision. Brian, did you have any thoughts on Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn?
I'm actually watching the match right now, and Sammy was moving in this match. It was a lot of stuff that he was doing that he really doesn't do now. So yeah, it's kind of intriguing watching this match again. I know we watched it 10 years ago, but I'm watching it now and seeing Sammy with the short haircut. That's pretty cool. I kind of miss this Sammy. Zayn. Yeah, this match looks good. I'm about to watch the powerbomb spot on the. Yeah, wow. See, Sammy is doing. Oh, whoa! Did y'all talk about that springboard moonsault where he?
That's coming up.
Yeah, and our worst spot of the night. Where Sammy missed the springboard moonsault and then landed on the top of his head. That was tough. That was a tough one. But yeah, they take chances.
The only hiccup of that match, really.
I noticed how you conveniently left that out.
It was going to get brought up. It wasn't like we're going to completely ignore it. We had it in a different. At least I have it in a different section of the. Gotcha. Of my format here, but it's definitely going to get brought up at some point because it was such a gnarly looking move that it's worth mentioning for sure, but just not yet. I was going to build up to it, baby. Don't worry.
I'm sorry, I preempted the worst spot. My bad. I'm sorry.
It's all right. You get it. We still love you. I did have an honorable mention here. It is the WWE Championship match in the main event. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. It's really odd to see all these guys as they were in 2016. Obviously, the biggest departure is probably Roman Reigns going from the big dog with the contacts in his eyes, which is just another phony thing they put on top of him to try to get him over. It's like, let's make your eyes look lighter. Like, okay, that's gonna that's gonna help him get over. Okay, the contacts, but seeing him going from the big dog to the tribal chief is like night and day. Seth Rollins now the visionary, and he's gotten people to sing his song and stuff like that. And Moxley, who's in AEW, but mostly a departure from the lunatic fringe that they called him in WWE, where he was doing comedic hijinks, and now he's like the big tough guy in AEW who's training everybody in this dungeon, like he's Stu Hart, but. It's wild to see these guys back then and what Vince McMahon thought was like the vision for these guys, no pun intended, and what they really became in order to get over. They had to shed all the Vince McMahon stuff to get over really and become, hyperbolic versions of themselves. And guess what? Oh, look at that. It worked. But at this time, we got Roman Reigns coming in purely as a heel in everybody's eyes. Everybody hates his guts, even though in storyline he's the babyface. But everybody hates his guts because they're not ready for him to be the guy yet. And on top of that, he just got hit with a 30-day suspension for violating WWE's wellness policy. And people frowned upon that. Very much so. And it's interesting because we were speculating about how could this, impact his future. And whether WWE will believe in him or not. And then, like, in hindsight, they kind of had him take a step back because he was wrestling Rusev for the U.S. title in 2016. He wasn't even in the main events like that. So I guess it did hurt him a little bit, even though the fallback, option, the punishment is winning the U.S. championship. It's a pretty good way to fall back into trouble, but he did take somewhat of a step back. But it's just funny to see him like the guy that we know for the, he's the epitome of Orr and Riz and today. But back in 2016, he was still kind of finding it. Like, you can tell, you just look at him and see, like, he's searching for something, and he's not finding it here on Battleground. He's got it now, and he's had it for a while, but he's definitely still searching in 2016, because all he was in 2016 was just brooding guy. He's just brooding. He was brooding, and he won.
Do y'all remember how much I hated Roman Reigns back then?
We all do.
Yeah.
I couldn't see it. I couldn't stand it. I didn't know what WWE was trying to do, but I ain't like it.
Dude said suffering succotash. It's crazy.
He did, with a straight face.
Like,
with a straight face, and Vince thought that like that's gonna help him get over it.
If somebody watched that for the first time, they'd be like, "Oh, he's trying to sabotage his career." Clearly,
clearly, because what else would he be doing? It's not gonna help him. It's not gonna help him. But that's what Vince thought. But yeah, this match was good. It was 3 great workers going at it for the championship in a top position, with a bunch of authority figures around ringside, which is still odd in hindsight. We have Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon representing SmackDown, because what was it? It was like Daniel Bryan was the GM and
Shane was
like the commissioner. That's what it was.
Commissioner and a GM.
Right, because you need layers of authority figures on the show. You can't just have one. Now they got 2 on each show. And the same for Mick Foley being the GM and Stephanie McMahon being the commissioner, because the McMahon's got to be involved somehow. This is also Shane returning to the company earlier this year with the worst storyline ever that just no one got an answer to, with the lockbox story. One of the worst storylines of all time, in my opinion. And so I guess it's like, well, we need to use you somehow, and we got Steph, so off you go. You get to boss somebody around on TV now. Great. But because Dean Ambrose, as he is known, now, he wins this match and he retains the WWE Championship, which sends Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan into hysterics. Shane McMahon is running around the ring like he just won the championship, like he himself won the championship. But he gets to take the title to SmackDown, which prompts Stephanie McMahon and Mick Foley, who I guess had a contingency plan just in case this situation were to arise. They had a belt ready. They had a belt ready to unveil like the next night.
Do you think
they unveil it the next night? I know they announced it. I don't know if they unveiled the belt.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember when they unveiled the belt, but I wonder if Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon had a contingency plan just in case.
I guess. I don't know, but they were happy nonetheless. Like they just won a Super Bowl, and the whole SmackDown roster comes out. Now, granted, we got to talk about the fact that Raw and SmackDown, the whole rosters are sitting crowded in front of one television in each locker room watching this match, because the winner of the match, I think Seth and Roman were on Raw and Ambrose was on SmackDown. So whatever brand, whoever won the match, they're taking that title back to their home brand. And that's where the title is. And it's like, oh no, we don't want to lose the championship. So everybody's had a vested interest in this. And I keep saying John Moxley, it's Dean Ambrose on this night wins the title, which means the WWE Championship is headed to SmackDown, and all the SmackDown wrestlers are happy, and they come out of the locker room and they're clapping up for John Moxley. Yes, I did it again. It's Dean Ambrose. I'm just gonna call him Mox, because Dean Ambrose is just harder to say anyway. They all crowd around Mox, and they guess who hoists him up on their shoulders after the match. It is 2 members of the Bloodline, Jimmy and Jey Uso, reluctantly lift up Mox on their shoulders and go, yay, SmackDown, even though he just beat their cousin. Roman didn't call that play. He didn't call the play that time. But there they were, holding up Dean Ambrose. I got it right this time. Dean Ambrose in this night. Brian, I don't know if you had any thoughts or memories about this match, and Nick, same for you, but I'll start with you, Brian.
Nah, I just hated Roman Reigns.
So he must have been happy that he lost.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, there's no way I thought he was going to win, honestly. It's like, yeah, even though he was suspended and coming back and winning, I just felt like that's what they were going to do. So I was pleasantly surprised. I actually thought Seth had a good chance of winning, because it was like, well, if Roman's coming back from a suspension, I don't think it looks good to have him win the title. So I guess it makes sense for Seth too, because nobody bought Dean Ambrose as a long-term champ anyway. It was like, oh, he cashed it in against Seth after Seth beat Roman. It's like, okay, that cute little story, but they kept it on Dean for a while. I was like, man, that's cool. Like, you didn't expect it. And I liked that part of this WWE where it's like, oh, maybe they're taking chances and stuff like that. So, obviously it didn't last that much longer. But, for, July 24th, is that what it was? Yeah, July 24th, 2016. I was all in, and after Battleground went off the air, I was like, man, this feels different. It did feel different at the time, and I was glad Ambrose won. And I think we all knew, whatever brand doesn't have a world champ, they'll just make a world champ, and that's exactly what Raw did. And I honestly think more interest is in that because you already know who is the world champ on whatever brand. So who's going to be the world champ on the brand that doesn't have one? I think that's more like an interesting story. So I think Raw kind of made out pretty well too after that.
I remember thinking that they would have a disputed finish somehow, like two people would be claiming that they're the champs and they would split it, something like that. And that's how we get two champions. I don't know. I'm still like team one championship, but that's team one world championship, by the way. I think you can have two of every other title, but not the world championship. There should be one of those, in my opinion. And I will die on that hill. I will pass away on that hill. Okay. Because what other sport has more than one world champion except not in the same weight class? Neither. We're not talking about boxing where they have multiple world champs, and I know they have multiple heavyweight champs, but you can unify those titles where they never do in wrestling. So they just have two world championships, and that's it. Football doesn't have that. Basketball, hockey, pro wrestling. There's two.
In fact, in boxing, they try their damnedest to unify the titles. They want the titles to be unified. They want to have that big pay, that big money super fight to unify titles as much as possible.
Yeah, they don't do that in WWE. It's just they're on separate tracks, guys, but the same destination. World championship. It's silly. It really is silly, but that's 2016. That's the main event from Battleground 2016. But let's move on to we just did the best matches of the night from Battleground. But what was the worst match of the night from Battleground 2016? Nick, I will start with you.
It's a shame for those mid-card titles, but I didn't like either of these. I know one, like for me, one was worse than the other, but both of them just kind of lacked anything what I remember from that time period. I was like, oh, this might be good, but it wasn't. Rusev and Zack Ryder for the U.S. title, I just wasn't feeling it. And then Miz and Darren Young for the IC title, not feeling that one. And that one had like a pretty brutal ending, so that might be 1A for me.
There's only one for me.
Ending.
There's no 1B. Zack Ryder and Rusev wasn't tremendous, but it was a functioning match where this one was just brutal. And I mean this one, I mean the Intercontinental Championship match. The Miz defending against Darren Young, who's going to the ring and is being managed at this time by Bob Backlund, of all people. Talk about a mismatch made in heaven. Like, what is going on? Who thought this was the way to go? And then on top of that, Backlund starts training Darren Young in a play off of Make America Great Again in 2016, which is far less controversial then than what it is now. But they're trying to make Darren Young great again. And he's literally screaming it out over the music. Bob Backlund is, I should say. We're going to make Darren Young great again. And they got the whole music and the look of like a presidential campaign. And it's like, I wonder if Darren Young would do this again today. I wonder if he would reconsider this 10 years later. But yeah, that was terrible. Darren Young won a battle royal to get the title shot. I remember you saying he won it by accident.
Yeah. Two people eliminated themselves, and he was just in the ring chilling, trying to recover from whoever punched him in the face. And then he just like looks out, and the bell rings, and he's the winner. He's like, oh, I won. What a great way to name your number one contender for the Intercontinental title. Great job.
Yeah, this is when they had like 5 matches on the pre-show back in the day. I don't know if you remember this era, Brian, when they had so many matches that, in hindsight, would be inconsequential. But like this battle on this night, you had
No, this was on Raw, I believe.
oh, this is on Raw. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
this Battle Royal. Yeah.
Well, the pre-show on this night, at least, was Fandango and Tyler Breeze. So Breezango beating the Usos, and it's just a tag team match somehow. So I thought this was a pre-show special too. I guess I was wrong for that, but either way, it was terrible. We got, again, both are good wrestlers, I should say, Darren Young and The Miz, but this was a straight up nothing burger. But the best moment, if there was a best moment, was when Maurice slaps Bob Backlund outside of the ring. And Bob Backlund loses his mind. He doesn't even know what to do. He can't even take his clothes off right. He's trying to tear his shirt off, but the suspenders are preventing him from taking it off. So now he's bare-chested with a shirt just dangling from his pants now because the suspenders, he can't get him out of the suspenders. And then The Miz shoves him down, and then Darren Young loses his mind and grabs The Miz, not in a crossface chicken wing, but a different move, like a Cobra Clutch.
Yeah, it looked like the $1 Million Dream, Cobra Clutch. That's Ted DiBiase, Sergeant Slaughter would use it. And I think like maybe he was supposed to put the crossface chicken wing, but it was not.
Should have.
I mean, that would make sense, right? Maybe it hurts too much. And the Miz
It
was
would
like,
have made.
that doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah, crossface chicken wing does hurt. I used to hate that, but
Yeah.
it made more sense than whatever happened. And you got Bob Backlund standing over this happening and shirtless yelling, and Maurice is yelling, and just colossal waste of time.
A lot of crap.
Colossal waste of time. I did want to mention Natalya versus Becky Lynch. I didn't love that match either. And it's, again, strange to see Becky Lynch pre the man, and she was steampunk girl. It's like that had a shelf life. I'm glad that she shed it. Yeah, the last kicker. That's what it was. Yes. Yep. Yeah. That had a shelf life, and it expired. And Becky Lynch went on to greener pastures following the last kicker nonsense. But let's move on to best non-wrestling happening. Nick, what do you have for best non-wrestling happening from Battleground?
Ooh, I got 2. Bayley's debut, definitely. Even though we kind of were expecting it, still kind of lived up to the hype. And like it was just the reaction from Sasha and the crowd, and just Bayley finally on the main roster. And even though everyone on commentary would be like, it's a one-off. It's like, shut up, man. Let us enjoy this. That was a lot of fun. And the fact that they won, too, that was great. And, again, nothing made me laugh more, I think, on this night than Enzo Amore's opening promo, where, he was just so different in a time that needed different, that I think that helped them out with Enzo and Cass. But Enzo was so great on the mic that he could slip up, here and there, and he would play it off like he either meant to do that or he was like, yeah, I didn't mean to do that, but we're going to move on. And I think he did that very well, and just being a goofball. And I think people love that because it was so different. And so his promo before the 6-man tag with calling himself, Cass, and John Cena the Mount Rushmore of certified Gs, but then said, yeah, there are 3 of us, but they have Cena, so it makes them 4G. It's just like, what?
4G.
Like, but it was like the crowd ate it up. They
did
up a lot. And listen, when you have like a crowd reacted to something in a product that is dying for something to be reacted to, you're going to start appreciating that a little bit.
Yeah,
and that's what I did.
What they did was get the crowd involved. They had people spelling soft all wrong. SAWFT soft. And people got into it. Right. People got into it.
No, I did.
Right. My name is Big Cass, and I'm 7 feet tall. And people repeat it week after week, night after night. And WWE finally caught on to like, oh yeah, crowd participation, that works again, because we did it with the New Age Outlaws. Like The Rock used to do it, and then it just stopped. Like think about how many like crowd participation things that Roman Reigns did back in this time. And then now every week he comes out, he does acknowledge me. All he has to say is 2 words, and then people go, ah! But back in the day, he didn't do any of that. Nobody did it. And they wonder how nobody got over. And then Big Cass come along and Enzo come along and they're getting the crowd involved. And you wonder why they got the people going crazy. It just didn't make any sense to not have the people get involved in some way. And Cass and Enzo was proof positive of like, yeah, this works. Just get them involved. To have them be an engaged audience and not just a passive audience clapping whenever their favorite comes out or the supposed favorite. Because you tell them who their favorite is now. But Kaz and Enzo had the sauce, and it didn't last forever, as we know. But man, where they were hella over when they were on the show, for sure. And Battleground was another example of that. Go ahead, Brian.
Nah, they were. I love them. I really don't like Big Cass solo dolo now. I like him with Enzo, man. I'm sorry. I know he was Big Bill at one point, and now he's Big Cass again. Listen, Enzo and Cass, man, it's like Keenan and Kel. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
Oh wow, that's high praise.
That's super high praise. Keenan and Kel, the purveyors of Good Burger.
But they were, but they were like that, man. I love Enzo and Cass a lot. Especially Enzo. Enzo could talk. Enzo did that intro of them without a mic one time. And still got it off.
Because people could just talk for him.
And it was so crazy. I was like, yo, this guy is super duper over. So yeah, I love that. And like you said, crowd participation, man, get me involved. I want to have fun.
Yeah, engage the people, and Enzo was really good at it. And I think WWE could still have a use for Enzo, maybe not as a wrestler as much, but as a manager, absolutely. Yeah. And that's another lost art. You talk about crowd participation, managers. I think they could be a handful more of them on each show, not just WWE, but also AEW. AEW does utilize managers more than WWE, but like, I don't know. I want a return of great managers. And I feel like there's some good ones out there, some quality ones, but we don't have like just those ones that like get your juices flowing every week, like Bobby Heenan used to. He used to make your blood boil when he was out there. Even Paul Heyman is like, he's out there and he's doing stuff, but it's not the same as what it was when he first came back with Brock. And that was like a lot of heat and, a big deal. And him and CM Punk was together, or him and Roman Reigns he's just kind of like advising some people now, like Braun Breaker. He's just kind of in an advisor role, consultant. Paul Heyman, that's kind of what he is, instead of like a manager. But
who's going to be the new Slick? Where's the new
Slick? There was a shyster like Slick. Where they at? You need that. Prayers up though to Slick, who's in the hospital right now after suffering a heart attack. So hopefully he can pull through, and maybe he can teach the next generation of managers. Man, they need some help.
They do.
Hopefully Slick can hump him out, man, because he was one of the greats back in the day. He's one of the more memorable characters of that time. It's what made the time memorable was Slick. He had a song and everything. Jive Soul Bro. Come on now. Shout out to Slick, man. Hope he pulls through after the heart attack he suffered recently. So, but back to the best non-wrestling happening. I agree with you, Nick. Bayley's kind of debut, it's not her full-time debut, but her debut on the main roster was my favorite non-wrestling happening. You got to remember that back in 2015, all of the 4 horsewomen were on the main roster. All the 4 horsewomen of NXT were on the main roster, and they were called up except Bayley, who had just won the NXT Women's Championship and was kept in developmental to essentially help grow the brand. And that decision worked, as Bayley and Finn Balor and Kevin Owens and others helped NXT go from a weekly studio show to a live touring brand, right? So Bayley was the face of that brand. She was among the faces of that brand. And all of that made me think, like, and I'll say it again, that Bayley and Finn Balor were like the 2 most important call-ups in NXT's short history to this point. And because I thought WWE, should strap the rocket to each of them. And they did to Finn Balor, and then he got hurt, and Vince kind of just forgot about him, just lost interest after he got injured. And in Bayley, I'm not sure if he ever really had interest in Bayley. I'm not sure. Like, even though he did, she was the women's champion by like 2017. I think she either won it at WrestleMania or retained it at WrestleMania. But it just felt like that hugger character, this version of Bayley, that the version of Bayley that got so over in NXT was just never able to get to that level again on the main roster. And I can't just think it's just, oh, she just didn't fit or the main roster audience just didn't buy in. I don't believe that. I think it's WWE not really embracing who she was and not understanding it and not knowing how to convey that to a wide audience. And it just never really got to that level that she wasn't in NXT. And now she might be on her way out of WWE. Who knows what's going to happen, you know? But, you know, when she won in 2017, when she won the women's championship, it wasn't the massive babyface triumph that her win over Sasha Banks at NXT Brooklyn was. And it's like, what happened? Why? You know, that was like a watershed moment in Brooklyn that night and a culmination of like a long thought out story. And they just never captured that on the main roster. But, you know, she could pop up in AEW doing the same thing she did on Battleground back in 2016, helping out Mercedes Moné. She could just pop up again. So, but the pop she got on this night tells me you can't tell me after hearing that reaction that she got in Washington, D.C., that she couldn't connect with people. Like, she had the people on this night eating out of the palm of her hand, and she wasn't even advertised for the show. She was a surprise, even though we had kind of had an inkling that it might be her. But, like, the crowd popped huge for Bayley. And it's just like, man, there's your star right there, and it just didn't happen. But on this night, success for WWE and Bayley for that. But the worst non-wrestling happening, I kind of mentioned it already, 3-person booths, hate them. But also Randy Orton's return on the highlight reel at the time seemed kind of fun, but in hindsight, wiggity whack. Like, it wasn't that funny to me. And of course, he got the match with Brock at SummerSlam that ended with him just being a bloody mess after Brock said, "Oh, you're going to bleed today." Mink, and hit him with an elbow, and that was the end of that. And they just stopped the match at that point. And Jericho on the highlight reel tried to tell him, like, Brock gonna beat your ass for that. You said that about Brock,
Yeah,
and
he
his
said enhancement free or something like that, talking about himself. And,
you brought up the PED suspension he had from UFC not too long before this, even though WWE didn't have the same drug testing policy that UFC did. So, like, you can wrestle, Brock, you can work here. But he brought that up, and Jericho was like, he gonna beat your ass, and then he did. He did, but that I didn't love that segment. But what was your worst non-wrestling happening?
That was my worst non-wrestling happening. I think they could have done what they did in like 5 minutes, but this went on too long. Of Jericho just be like, "You gonna get me with an RKO?" And then, what about now? How about now? Gonna get me with an RKO now? Like, that was the most comedic part of that. But dude, the segment was like 10, 15 minutes or something like that. It's like, we don't need this, even on pay-per-view. Like, relax. We got the WWE Network. They went past 3 hours anyway. You guys rewrite this stuff because you have the WWE Network. You don't need a time filler or anything like that anymore. And that's exactly what this was. Again, it could have been 5 minutes long. And they showed like a video of Brock Lesnar talking about Randy, I guess. And Jericho's like, how do you respond to that? It's like, dude, like, that's... What is
Brock couldn't even show up.
What are we doing here?
Brock couldn't even show up to promote his match.
Yeah, like what's Jericho doing? He's got nothing going on. So
nope.
You know, eventually he'll do the KO thing, which was fun. But I mean, like, it just felt like a waste. You know, yeah, we need Randy. Make sure Randy's back, and we got to get him a spot on Battleground. And you know, it's fine for like building to whatever the hell the Brock match was that nobody asked for. But at the same time, nobody cared. You know, it's just because it's Chris Jericho and just because it's Randy Orton, you get the crowd pop. But as far as like the meat of the segment, I think it just was boring as hell.
Brian, did you have any memories of Brock and Randy Orton and this match happening in 2016?
Hell no.
Or should I ask you, did you have any thoughts on Bayley? I should go back to Bayley. If you had any thoughts on Bayley at this time and her making her kind of main roster debut at this point.
Yeah, that was dope. She the crowd approved, obviously, and I like to see the inflatable tube man. That was a throwback. I love seeing that again, and you know, I loved hugger Bailey. I actually love Bailey still now, even through the changes over the past 10 years. But her initial character, I loved it. And it was good watching that. Again, I just watched that not too long ago. And that's fire. I love that. I forgot how much I love Bailey. But that pales in comparison to the love that I have for Sasha Banks.
That's a different podcast. Talking about how much you love her. It's a straight shooters after dark, I think. Not coming your way anytime soon. But so easy there, big fella. Take it easy. But yeah, Bailey. It seemed like she was destined to be a main eventer all the time, and it just didn't come to fruition. But hidden gems. I didn't have any hidden gems from this show, but Nick, did you have any?
Yeah, I know you weren't a fan of Natalya and Becky, but I was.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good match. I think it got screwed over by being right after a KO versus Sami Zayn, but as far as like the story and Natalya getting her licks in as a heel, I liked the match for what it was, and really good pro wrestling match. And I think, obviously, think about Battleground 2016, you don't think about that one, but I think you'd be pleasantly surprised if you go back and watch that one.
All right, Natalya and Becky Lynch. I didn't love it. It was meh. Just nobody was over. I think it's not the wrestlers' fault necessarily. It's just they didn't have the crowd, man.
Again, right
It's
after
tough.
Sami and KO, like you can't
That's
be
tough.
up for every single match.
Yeah, you got to be down for something, and they were down for this. Not down with the sickness. They were down on Becky Lynch and Natalya. Let's see here. Best spots from Battleground 2016. I had Kofi Kingston hitting a swanton on Braun Strowman outside of the ring. I thought that was dope. And I thought the flurry of moves that Xavier Woods hit at the end of that 6-man tag between the New Day and the Wyatt family, which was a low-key banger, I think, in hindsight. At least the ending, for sure. I thought the ending was awesome, with Xavier Woods overcoming his fear and then going kind of like on a rampage, like a tear, before Bray Wyatt kind of poured water on those flames and ended the match. But yeah, Nick, best spot from Battleground 2016.
Yeah, I like Xavier Woods overcoming Bray Wyatt's hypnosis. Part of my top spots of the night. That was fun. We were like afraid that the New Day was going to break up because of the Wyatts. I remember us, talking about that back then and be like, "Oh, I hope it doesn't happen." And then Xavier kind of, getting out of the trance and whatever that was fun. Sami Zayn's suplex on Kevin Owens on the apron. We hadn't seen that a lot back then. So obviously these guys trust each other and do moves like that to each other all the time. Seen it in NXT a lot, but seeing it on the main roster was a lot of what these guys did, in 2015 and 2016, coming from NXT to the main roster. I remember being like, whoa, I can't believe we're seeing this on the main roster shows. That's how bad a lot of the action was in ring and on the main roster at this point. So just something like that, being like, oh my God, it's just crazy to think about. And I agree with Chris when he mentioned Enzo going for the hot tag and Carl Anderson picking him off really in the middle of the ring. They're on the opposite sides of the ring. Enzo jumps into the ring and tries to dive towards his corner to make a tag, but Carl Anderson, who's on the opposite side of the ring, gets in the ring, and you don't see him with the camera angle. And I thought that was really, really well done. And just a great spot where it's like, oh, Enzo's going to get the tag now. Wait a second. Oh, Carl picks him off in midair. It was great. That was a great spot. That was also a low-key banger match, too.
It was a good match.
That's
The 6-man between, there was 2 6-mans. You had Cena and Enzo and Kaz versus the Good Brothers. Both good matches, but it also could have been just in TV matches too. They didn't have to be on pay-per-view, but neither here nor there. Worst spot from Battleground 2016. I feel like we're going to agree on this one. It had to be Big E doing the spear through the ropes and then just landing on the top of his head like a video game character. Jesus.
Man.
Tough. Brian, you mentioned it like as you were watching it, you're like, oh my God, like So you remember this? Obviously, this stood out to you as a rough spot to watch.
That was awful. Like, cause he, but it was also funny.
Man, it was tough.
He did this stuff all the
Because
time,
the
and I
way
remember
he-
us
the way-
talking about it. Like, what is he? He needs to stop doing that.
Yeah, he needs to stop doing. He needs to stop doing that. The way he kind of like fell and like kind of like spilled over afterwards. That part was kind of. But but bro, what are you doing, man? Why? That was wild. I was like, oh no, man. Please don't ever do that again. And then the Sammy botch too. That was super crazy as well.
Yeah, him doing the springboard and not quite rotating far enough, and then bonk on the top of his head on the ring apron. Still finished the match. I wouldn't have. I would have been in the hospital for a couple months after that. But Sami Zayn, he's tougher than me, I guess, because he continued the match and won for that matter.
And
So
won. Yeah.
and won. Nick, worst spot for you from Battleground?
Yeah, Big E, the Big E spear.
Yeah.
I also had Sammy screwed up the moonsault. That was pretty brutal. But that's one of the things where you're just like, whatever. Like they're always going to do it. Same with Big E. I remember like us talking about he needs to stop doing that spear, and he just never stopped doing that spear to the outside through
Yeah.
the ropes. It's like,
That-
and of course his career-ending injury does not come on something like that.
Right,
it's like
I mean, dangerous nonetheless,
crazy.
but it's still a you would assume not as dangerous, but still dangerous with the overhead suplex. Because if you don't rotate, something bad could happen, and unfortunately, that happened to Big E. But good to see him though, still out here, still living, writing books, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Big E still doing his thing, man. And of course, you had to. We should have mentioned this in the podcast sooner, but the New Day video that they did, Xavier and Kofi posted, was clearly a nod to Big E, saying like they had to leave and it's okay. And it's almost shedded a tear during that damn video, man. It was tough. That was tough. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. But random thoughts from Battleground. Speaking of New Day, Kofi said skeeting off in a promo, and I was like, what? He said that on TV? Yeah, that was wild. But I wrote that like this time period was like peak New Day. Like you mentioned it earlier, Brian. New Day was so much fun, man. There's such a missed item, like not item, but like an act on the show, on any wrestling show. We need them back in pro wrestling. Is what I'm saying. Like we need New Day back. So I know that there's teases of them, at least 2 of the 3 members being in AEW. We'll see how that goes, but. Man, when they were all 3 together and they were just out there on the road all the time, coming up with ideas, coming up with cereal, the unicorn horns, the pancakes, everything else, the trumpet. What a fun time, bro. What a fun time. And man, do I miss Big E in the ring because he was such a freak athlete. You know what I'm saying? He was a brick, you-know-what house, but that had quick feet like a defensive lineman, which is what he was, at Iowa. But, man, that quick feet was put to
those
use in wrestling.
educated feet. I think Jim Ross would say, right?
Like, man, what fun times they provided us as wrestling fans back in the day. Also, I forgot that Luke Harper wasn't a part of this edition of the Wyatt family. It was Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan, and Braun Strowman, which the group would soon be split up by the brand split anyway. So there's that. So I don't know why they did that. We also got a trailer for Swerved on the WWE Network. Remember that?
Hell yeah.
Nick's
I
favorite
love
prank
WWE
show.
Network, man. I love just the WWE Network having things like this where you can like just screw around and watch stuff where like we can't do it now. It's like it's like so annoying.
Well, it's also very expensive at WWE too. I mean, it's like,
How?
production costs money.
You carry the production does whatever they do. Like they do it on a daily basis, and all they're doing is turning their camera on. That's it.
Oh, you got to
They're doing the
to
same
edit
thing
that.
day to day. They're doing the same thing.
You got to pay people to edit that show. You got to pay people to shoot the show. You got to pay people to light the show. You got to pay people to mic everything up. You got to pay people for catering for the crew. You got to pay for the trucks. For it's
They don't
way more
need any of
expensive
that. They
than
carry-
turning the camera
they
on.
carry
For
cameras
Swerved,
around. Yeah.
this is a production. This isn't like a live shoot. This is expensive, especially when you're not getting the return on investment because people aren't lining up in droves to watch Swerved on WWE Network. Especially if you're not a wrestling fan, you're not gonna dial up WWE Network. I said dial up, like you know how old I am, but you're not gonna download WWE Network if you're not a wrestling fan. And Swerved isn't gonna be the reason you do. Like, no. So
you have to have original programming.
Well, you don't have to have a streaming platform. That's the reason why they got rid of it.
Well,
streaming platforms are
a
expensive.
company like WWE does. They definitely do.
Or what they do now is that they'll sell it so they can put it on your platform. How about that? Instead of we created our own, Netflix, you can buy it and put it on yours.
And do whatever the hell you want with it, and no one finds it special anymore. You edit the shit out of it. And
that was always the case.
It's just so bad.
The editing was always the case.
No, they didn't edit out blood before or like curse words the way they do on Netflix. Like that's ridiculous.
Well, I don't know why they do it on
the
Netflix.
The music now too.
Anything.
Like I know they did that before, but like Nick Aldis coming out to Oasis on SummerSlam, you ain't gonna hear that again.
No, because they ain't got the money for it. You got to pay for that, baby. Come on now.
They do have the money for it. That's the whole thing. They don't want to pay for it.
There are
which
things
is fine.
that
It's fine, but don't tell me they don't have the money for it.
It's not that they don't have the money. It's just that do you want to throw the money at it just to maintain your experience for it, or they can throw another generic
And
song on
why
it.
are
You're going
they
to watch it
editing
anyway.
WCW music with WWE music? It makes no
I don't
sense.
know. I don't get that. Maybe they don't own the rights to it, and it would cost them money to pay for it. And they don't deem
They
it.
bought the library though, so they do own the
I don't
rights
know.
to it.
I don't know.
A lot of the WCW stuff was already like part of the Turner library or whatever.
Look,
So-
when it comes to music rights, and Brian, I'm sure you can attest to this, that could be a tangled web as to who owns what and whose masters it is and everything else. Tangled web. And social media, we've found out the hard way at times. We mess with songs or even footage, but definitely music, it's a different animal. And they don't play that. They do not play that.
Post down immediately.
Yeah.
Get it out of here.
No one's yearning for Chris Jericho's WCW theme, and that they can't afford to not
know.
overlap it with Break the Walls Down from WWF. Like, get out of here. It's just some of the stuff is for no rhyme or reason. Like, I understand there's reasons they edit stuff, but like some of the stuff they just edit for the sake of editing. They're like, hey, we can do this.
If they didn't spend the money there and gave it to the wrestlers, I'd be fine with that. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm cool with them not paying for the song if they don't deem it to be worth their time. I'd rather them give it to the wrestlers anyway. So it's all right. I'll be all right. Speaking of the network, they had a pre-show panel for the network. They had a panel just in general. They had Renee Young / Paquette / Good, Booker T, Jerry Lawler, and Corey Graves on there. So there is that. So yeah, I think let me see here. I have any other? Oh, we had a silly backstage interaction with Dean Ambrose again, being silly and goofy, with Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan. They just couldn't help themselves with Dean Ambrose, the Lunatic Fringe, stupid nickname. And that's what I got from Battleground. What were your random notes and random thoughts, Nick?
I had a few of the same ones, but it was funny. Kofi said the WWF split up the Wyatt family the way the Taylor Swift relationship would be. Well, how about that? Bringing up Taylor Swift,
Oh,
2016, who's now married to an NFL player. It's very funny. Very funny.
Look at that.
Zach
I heard the
Ryder-
wedding was a big blowout. It was a big time. Heard a lot of people showed up to that wedding. That's what I heard.
Yeah. Did you?
No, I didn't get the invite. It must have got lost.
Bummer. Zack Ryder wearing the USA gear for his title match against Rusev reminded me a little bit of the Ultimate Warrior's USA gear at the 1991 Royal Rumble. I was like, was he trying to pay homage to that or not? Interesting. Did think it was funny Mojo Rawley coming out to help
And
him.
no one cared.
No, like he's doing all these gyrations in front of Rusev, and Rusev just stared at him like, "What the hell?" And he just backs up. There's like no expression on his face. It's not even like he's mad. It's not even like, "Yeah, we're gonna go." It's like, "All right, you could do all this stuff in front of me. I'm just gonna go back there." So, yeah, Rusev was not enthused, but yeah, all the Mojo was like so into it, and just nobody else was. So I kind of felt bad for him a little bit. Man. We talked about Maurice and Backlund. That was really funny. So for the draft, we had Raw draft first. So why wouldn't they just draft Dean Ambrose if he's the champion? What the hell's that logic? That's why you give like you do a coin toss or something, and you let SmackDown select first. If your plan is to keep Dean Ambrose there as the champion, the champion should be the number one choice. Like, what are we doing here logically? Come on.
Doesn't make any sense. Vince McMahon is not good at drafts. Let's just say that. He'd probably be the worst fantasy drafter of all time. He'd draft like 16 tight ends somehow, and it's like, we need to bulk up up front. It's like, you don't block, Vince. What are you doing? Where are the offensive linemen at?
Speaking of Dean Ambrose, clearly the most over out of the three. It goes Ambrose, Rollins, Reigns in terms of the pop they got. People are loving, Seth, but they're loving Dean Ambrose more. And I think it's just because it was something fresh and new, and I don't think anybody thought he would ever be WWE champion. So strike while the iron's hot and make sure the audience is like, we're making sure Vince knows we love Dean Ambrose. Like, we don't want him to mess anything up here. And eventually he would, but on this night, they made the right move. They made the right move with Dean winning. And with the crowd booing everything Reigns is doing. So thank God they didn't do that on this night. Because it was a feel-good night. It really was. During the main event, the New Day passing around bootios in the locker room. But that was funny. That was good. I thought it was interesting. Ambrose, the finish was good with Ambrose winning with Dirty Deeds on Reigns. So Reigns takes another pin after Reigns hits Rollins with a spear. So I thought that was well done. And obviously we talked about the Usos coming out and hoisting Ambrose on their shoulders, looking as annoyed as ever. Not even a smile. And I was like, yeah, this is our brand, man. But at the time, even on TV, I don't think if they teamed, I know they had teamed before they did the Bloodline thing. I don't know if it was like a one-off or like a couple times, but it wasn't really hammered home that, maybe it was by this point. I don't know. But I feel like they didn't really mention that, though, with the Usos holding them up. It's like we could see that on their faces. They're front and center holding Ambrose up. And it was just a funny visual. So I thought that was great. I thought Battleground as a whole, best pay-per-view by that point in that year. I remember we were like hyped for WrestleMania that year and kind of didn't deliver at AT&T Stadium. But Battleground 2016 felt like a real new beginning when you had the draft and everything. And we were like cautiously optimistic, but we were hopeful, especially after this night when Dean won. It was like, okay, maybe this will be different. It's like womp womp, but
psych. Again.
Whatever. Yeah.
All right, random thoughts. Brian, did you have any random thoughts on this show before we wrap it up for our deep dive?
Yeah, the video package before New Day versus the Wyatts, when the New Day dressed up as the Wyatts.
Yes.
And Xavier Woods was just staring into the camera. Oh my God. Too funny. New Day was top tier funny.
Yeah, that again, sorely missed just in wrestling in general. Just all the fun they would bring to the show, man. And this is just another example. I watched this show and I was like, oh man, New Day. Damn. They messed it all up, man. WWE messing it up again. It's a shame. They should have been around. They should have been lifers in WWE.
Right.
Now they split up. Now they in different promotions.
Hey man, you talk about money. It's like, oh, a business decision. That's what it is. It's not always. It doesn't make sense. Not everything should be a business decision in wrestling. Wrestling is unlike all entertainment, like certain forms of entertainment. Like sometimes you bite the bullet to pay more because the crowd wants it. Like you just got to do it. You make your product worse when you do crap like that.
Well, now they're going to be throwing up signs on different shows like the Click did during the Monday Night War. Right
They'll
back
take
at
Big E
us.
off the pay-per-view pre countdown shows or whatever, just so he
That'd
can't
be
do
nuts.
that.
He gets punished. That'd be nuts. That'd be nuts. All right. That's enough for Battleground from 2016. Nick, take us out with some plugs, please.
Follow me at _Pacone on Twitter and TikTok, at Pacone on Bluesky, at Pacone Nick on Threads for my Philly sports clips and this wrestling content. Kyle Schwarber, walk-off homer, got all the radio calls up there, so go check those out. I'll have a few more. I'll do the whole rally at some point, the ninth inning rally, so stay tuned for that. You can follow us at Shooters Radio on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Twitter, really like any platform at Shooters Radio, at shootersradio.com as well for the links for Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever podcast player you prefer. Say that 8 times fast. Whichever podcast player you prefer is listed at shootersradio.com. So check that out for all our episodes and platforms.
All right.
And you can check me out, at crossingbroad.com.
All right. Brian, do you have anything to plug?
You can catch me on the latest edition of the Bro Print podcast, which just released while we were recording this episode. On episode 5 of the Bro Print, we are interviewing the legendary DJ Toomp. If not of the speed, DJ Toomp is responsible for Can't Tell Me Nothing by Kanye West, Big Brother by Kanye West, What You Know by T.I., You Don't Know Me by T.I.
Hold on, just for a second. There's a lot of like declarative statements in these song titles. What you know, you don't know. You can't tell me nothing. The titles of these songs, all bangers, by the way. I'm not saying these are to dispute these, but I just noticed a pattern in these titles.
Yeah. All classics, by the way. He tells a wonderful story about the late great Prince. So please check out that episode. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Bro Print Podcast and hit that notification button so you know when we'll air. Last week we interviewed Method Man, and that was a classic interview as well. The Bro Print, man, is the new hottest podcast out there, so check it out on YouTube. Shout out to my bros Malik Cool Berry and Saquon Gillette. Also, it's not really a plug, but it's a little history here. Today is Kobe Bryant's 48th birth. He would have been 48 years old today. So shout out to the late great Kobe Bean, Black Mamba, Vino Bryant, my personal favorite basketball player of all time. And today is the 35th anniversary of the U.S. launch of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
Ooh, Super Nintendo. How many years ago?
35 years ago.
35. Damn. That was like, I remember regular Nintendo, the first Nintendo, but Super Nintendo was like, the first one that I really had my hands on a lot. And Super Mario World, the truth. And then they had Mortal Kombat on it without the blood. Remember that? You had to put a code in for the blood.
Yeah.
What a time. What a simpler time.
I was just at my dad's house today visiting him because his birthday is on Wednesday, and he has a Super Nintendo in his house with all those games that you just mentioned.
Nice.
And I tried to steal it.
Ken Griffey Jr. is Major League Baseball, man. That was my shit.
Absolutely. I
was unsuccessful.
I'm sure your dad is happy that you were unsuccessful, but I am at Vaughn M. Johnson on X. I'm at Vaughn Johnson 166 on Instagram and on other platforms like Threads and Blue Sky and the like. We are also on Patreon, patreon.com/shootersradio, where you can sign up for a chance to request a future deep dive. And when you do, we will not only fulfill it, but you can make a cameo on the show that we're diving deep into. It doesn't have to be a pay-per-view like Battleground 2016. It could be a movie. I was just listening to our See No Evil deep dive, classic. Was it what we did? Man, what was the one? Suburban Commando with Hulk Hogan, classic deep dive. Santa with
that
Muscles.
one right before he died too. That was crazy timing.
It was crazy timing. But Santa with Muscles, another Hogan movie, classic, and there could be more. Just hit us up again. Patreon.com/ShootersRadio. Predator has a wrestler in it. Jesse Ventura is in Predator. Arnold Schwarzenegger was also on wrestling. He's involved in wrestling, at least. He punched Triple H one time, so that counts as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying? Jingle All the Way. Paul White is in Jingle All the Way, as is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Come on. So, again, we Players Club. Brian, Tiny Lister is in Players Club, correct?
He sure is. That's a fact.
Come on. Don't you want us to dive deep into these movies? I do.
Listen, we can also dive deep into the episode of The Fresh Prince where Carlton became C-Note because Tiny Lister is also in that episode as well.
He is. I'm Apollo. No, that was a different show I'm talking about. C-Note was hilarious when he went to the hood. Also, man, who played Sparks? He had a TV show Sparks in that show. I forget his name. He was also in Martin. He was pretty Ricky Fontaine in Martin. Man, I can't remember his name now.
I know who you're talking about.
You know who I'm talking about.
You can't remember their name, but you know everything he was in. He was also
everything.
in Life.
Yes, he was in Life. He was the LGBT prisoner who did not want to leave the prison after he got out and he did not want to leave. But he's been Miguel Nunez. I think his name is Miguel Nunez. I think is his name.
Yes, correct.
Yes, but Tiny Lister also in what else is he in that we could talk about? A lot of things. Friday. Yeah.
Friday after next.
Yeah, we can probably skip the second 2 Fridays, but the first one for sure. We gotta talk about.
Friday and next Friday. Yes, he's in those. Yeah. Yes, correct. I'm sorry.
Right. So no, you're good. Again, I was gonna skip those anyway, but Friday for sure. We can do that. Oh, I forgot. Tiny Lister also was in Martin when they tried to get housekeepers. And he was like Martin hired these 2 women as housekeepers, and then Gina hired him hired Tiny Lister as a housekeeper, and he was like, "I'm Apollo." So we can watch an episode of Martin if you want, Nick. We got it.
He was also on an episode of Step by Step.
Come on.
Cody was trying to get Mark or Brendan an autograph from one of those baseball players, and he was a guard at the locker room.
We're gonna have
wow. Tiny was working, man.
He was working. And we're going to cover a whole lot of stuff just off the fact that he was Zeus at one time in WWF. Oh, he's also in WCW, too. I forget. I mean,
we already did No Holds Barred, so go in our archives for that one. But, yeah, he was in WCW, too. I think we did a live commentary of the Doomsday Cage match or whatever. But, we could do the whole event.
We could do the whole event. We can do some of those Master P movies from the late 90s that were terrible because the No Limit Soldiers are in it. Come on.
Yeah,
that's that. Nick, don't ever do that again.
Want me to leave it in or should I edit it out?
No, you can leave it in.
All right, I'll leave it in.
But you don't extend the whoo. It's not whoo. What?
I was just trying to go by his WCW,
Yeah,
what I heard in WCW. So
it's just hootie hoo. It's not hootie hoo.
Oh, really? Oh,
I don't. It's not, maybe he said that on
Didn't
TV. The song isn't like that.
I could have sworn it was in WCW. Maybe they
did,
or maybe it was Kurt Hennig making fun of them. I don't know.
Maybe
because he was super racist West Texas rednecks.
Right,
yeah,
with
man.
Kurt Hennig leading it from Minneapolis, like West Texas. Kurt Hennig, hella racist. We know. For sure, hated it. But that's all the plugs. Let's wrap it up for episode 475.
I forgot we were doing plugs.
Right, we're trying to end this thing here, trying to end this marathon. But let's end it with thanking you for listening to episode 475. So for Nick Pacone and Brian Isley, thanks again for listening to episode 475 of The Straight Shooters, and we'll catch y'all again next week.
Peace.
Hey, Clavis, wake up. The show's over. Oh, yeah. Kick it.